She gets very tense. Okay, so this is in response. We're doing like a little one-on-one. Obviously, first shout out to Kimberly. She's a real one. She was the first one to sign up. So Kimberly is very special. Kimberly Alvarez. This is your shout out amongst a one-on-one response. It was a question. You want to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It says, do you have any advice on how to be selfish or put yourself first and not feel guilty? I always feel guilty when I quote unquote give up on someone and think about what is and end up feeling guilty when I'm working on myself instead of helping them, continuing fighting for that relationship. So she's asking, what are some tips? What are some steps that I can take to remind myself to put myself first, even though it doesn't. Sometimes it feels like maybe this isn't what I should be doing. So I think it's a good question, and I think I've learned to really I do put myself first, because if I don't put myself first, I can't help other people around me. And so I do think one of the biggest things that I have is I have good people around me that help me put myself first, that encourage me, that ask me, how are you doing? How's your mental health? You and I, we talk about it. I have a couple good people around me, good support system. And I think that's important as well, because sometimes you need somebody to check up on you and say, listen, I care about you. This is what I want for you. I want you to put yourself first. Sometimes you need a little bit of an encouragement, a little bit of a nudge. It reminds you, okay, like I come first too. Even though it could feel like almost like doing a disservice to the other person, or we're kind of live in a world where it's like, well, you shouldn't put yourself first, because you care for the others, but you can't care about them if you don't care about yourself. And you always say, I know the analogy of, or the metaphor of, putting on the mask on a plane, a cliche thing, but it is really true, right? Because if I can't help me, I'm not gonna be able to help both of us, So I think that's kind of a way of looking at it. If you have a good support system around you that encourages you to put yourself first, how you doing? I think that's important.
Yeah. I don't think it's your responsibility to worry about somebody else. I think it's their responsibility to worry about themselves. Remember, you said it before, if they weren't in the picture, who would you be? Don't forget who you were before they came crashing into your life. Those are your exact words that you've used. So if you didn't have them before the situation, you are making decisions solely for yourself, worrying about yourself, trying to make yourself better. And you shouldn't now feel responsible to do that for the other person, because if you were able to do this for yourself, that means that they should be able to do so also. It's not your responsibility. If anything, you should be almost an inspiration to them, lead by example. But I'm not going to pick you out of a situation that you put yourself into. I mean, I'm here to help you as much as possible, but I'm also not going to allow this to ruin me and who I am in order to focus on you. Because now we're focusing on you, I'm losing myself in trying to make you better. Then it's almost like I'm losing myself now. The good thing is that, of course, if you have a strong partner that they could be that crutch for you in the meantime, that's great. But you also have to remember, it's not their responsibility to look after you, just like it's not yours to look after them. And I think that's very important, because we get very lost in our relationships, and then we feel guilty when we don't do something for our partner, or we don't stand up, or we don't support them. But it's all kind of, again, it's leading by example and being that person of, hey, if I'm taking care of myself, this is what I'm doing, and I'm trying to make myself better for this relationship. You would expect the partner to do the same. And if they don't, then you also have to, again, kind of like we were saying, like, you also don't want to like cheapen yourself for somebody else. So I think it's just very important that you can't feel guilty, because if they're not in the picture, what are we feeling guilty about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, great perspective. I do think this, so like if you're in a committed relationship with somebody and that's a companionship, you're gonna go through struggles, and you're gonna go through life. There's gonna be ups and downs, but there's gonna be times where you have to be that crutch. And essentially that's what a partnership is. Like I'm gonna have your back, but at the same time, if it's a continuous thing, and if you're always having to rely on me, and it's building up and building up and building up, then that might be something that could be where it could be. You got to draw a line at some point. But at the end of the day,
it can affect you. That's what it is. It cannot, like, their impact can't affect you. Yes, you can be there to help them, but you also can't now affect them on their life and whatever it is that they're going through because of whatever you have. And I think once it becomes, because yeah, just like you said, it could start like you want to help them and stuff like that, but if it is this continuing, what are we doing about this? Like, is this now going to be our new relationship where I'm not myself anymore? Now it's only about trying to figure you out or trying to fix you.
No, yeah,
There's,
yeah. I get what
yeah,
you're saying. But there's gonna be times where maybe your needs have to take a more of a priority than mine, depending on the circumstances, and that's okay. And there's gonna be it's a two-way street, and I can help you to the best of my ability. I will, but not at my own detriment. I think it's what you were saying as well.
yeah. I just don't think it's fair to feel guilty for not being able to fulfill someone else's needs, or to feel
Yeah,
guilty to leave them, because I get it. You invest a lot into a relationship and it almost feels like a waste for you if you want to walk away. But think of how much time you're wasting in investing that into someone where it's not going anywhere. That's a lot of time that you're losing out for yourself, losing out for someone that's actually going to appreciate it, where you're now feeling guilty of not wanting to do so. You also have to like kind of shift that. If this is my energy that I'm putting into it, it's my energy that I'm putting into this.
yes, 100%.
So you have to
Yeah,
have that
yeah.
kind of that split.
And we've Ingrid, who's a mental health consultant, she said it. You said you have to, you can't force people to do what you think is right for them, right? So you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. Kind of the saying. I've said it in the past before. You can help them out. You can encourage them. You can give them all the steps. But if they don't want the help, then that's on them. At the end of the day, you cannot be there and make them do certain things. They don't really want to do it. And at some point, yeah, you have to cut ties. And I think something she was saying is like, like I feel guilty walking away. You can't stick around forever and help this person. If they don't want the help, they don't want the help. And sometimes you walking away is the best thing you can do for them.
Sometimes that is the answer.
Yeah,
That is a solution
because if you always
for whatever
enabling,
issue.
yeah, because you'll be surprised to when if people think that you're going to stick around because you're like, I'll help you, I'll help you, I'll help you. You stick around for weeks or months. Well, they always think you're going to be there. You're always going to be around. The minute you say, listen, I had enough, and then this is also where boundaries come into play. You got to have those boundaries and say, you know what, I'm going to walk away, even though this is really painful and this is hurting me, but I can't be there and watch you dig a deeper hole. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's I think it's difficult at first. I think you and I are a little bit on the same page where we say, listen, yeah, we'll walk away. It's gonna hurt, but guess what? If this is going to be for our best interest, and I think getting to that point is a little difficult. But once you're there and you know your value, you won't look back.
I think the best way to summarize this, and I think we can bring this to a close with this, is if you can be empathetic in the good, you can be empathetic in the bad. And the way I put it is this way. What if I were in that person's shoes and I was requesting them to help me? Up to what point is it now crossing the line? Is it up to what point am I not taking responsibility for my own actions and I'm now putting it onto you, where now you feel like it's your responsibility, where now there's a guilt created if you're not fulfilling that? So now I'm putting you in that situation. So then think of that side. Is it fair to you to feel that responsibility when it's my issue?
Yeah.
Is it your responsibility to have to deal with it when if you were in that position, you would think like, I'm putting my issue on you for you to solve it as if it were your own. So now you're coming with a solution that I'm choosing not to do.
Yeah.
And I need you to do that for me.
Yeah.
Up to what point? You know what I mean? So now I'm putting you in a situation to do that. Is that fair? Why should I be responsible? Why should I feel guilt for not fulfilling it? If I were in this situation, I have to do it myself. I have to solve this. Sure, I'd look for help, but I'm not going to put somebody else responsible for my own issues when I should be doing that. And for you to feel guilty about it, just think of how unfair it is for you to even have to be dealing with that situation. And I think that should kind of help, because yeah, you do want to help and you do want they're important to you. I get it. But at what cost is it?
Yeah.
Is it your own mental health? Is it your own time, your own flexibility? Like, are you canceling or changing your things in order to be able to fulfill? And if you don't, should you feel guilty? And I think that's kind of the question you need to ask yourself.
Yeah, I like it. Perfect. I think that was a good way to sum it up. And again, it's not gonna happen from day to night. It's especially if you're not used to that kind of thinking. But you have to remind yourself of who was there before they came into your life. And at the end of the day, it sounds selfish, but you know what? Sometimes being selfish is what you need. You got to put yourself first.
No, but not only that, like I had an issue with another one of my friends. He was telling me how, oh man, I was in this position where like I almost like committed suicide for this girl because like I was just put in this dark hole after, and I'm like, but you're still here. So just think about that. You were in a dark spot where you felt like you couldn't get out of, but you're still here. So two things. One, it's not the end of the world because clearly that person left your life. You're still here.
Yeah.
There will be somebody else that comes into your life.
Yeah.
It's not like that's all that you had. And two, you now are made like you're cut from a different cloth because you were able to overcome whatever it is that you were going through. And you're still here today. Just imagine now how much wiser you are, how much stronger you are emotionally. We can cut this part somehow,
Yeah.
but regardless,
it's all good.
But yeah, so things like that, like you just have to forget what I was even saying, but the way that you are now, like emotionally, you're stronger, you're wiser, you've been put in situations and now you've overcome where you thought were your darkest moments and you've gotten like you're still here. So I think that if you're able to do that, just know like it's not the end of the road. There's always something
more.
else.
There's
yeah
more,
so don't think that that guilt is going to eat you alive. Like sure, it's temporary, but just like everything else, it's temporary. Move on. You're going to be stronger at on the outcome. You just gotta go through with it.
I like it. Perfect. Well,
Put you first. Put yourself first.
You heard it, Kimberly.
Always.
Well, thank you so much. And I guess I hope this helps you. I hope it helps other people who are watching this. And I hope we see you next month. Right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Every month you have a question. You let us know.
You got a question. You got a follow up, or maybe there's something else, or whatever you want. We'll fulfill. You let us know. This is why you're in this tier, to have full control, to have access to us, or whatever you want.
Exactly. And we appreciate you for being a supporter. We really appreciate it. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it's a subscription for you or whatever. Even if it's a one-time payment, you want to ask us a question. You literally are helping us continuing to grow our dreams. And if we can, like, we want to do this more often. We want to help as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And it's difficult when we have another source of income, when we have to like go to work and exchange our time for money. So if this is our passion, and we want to thank you for like giving us the opportunity to get one step closer to it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. And we'll see you next time.